Whoops. Oops, that was meant to be me, that was meant to be my thing there, and you got my desk instead. That's a shame, innit? Well, it doesn't matter, does it? But I seem to have changed my little scene, my intro scene, which has made me sad now. But that's all right, isn't it? Don't matter. Real Magic Review. Just imagine it. Use your imagination. God, blimey, we're meant to be magicians. Hello, welcome to Real Magic Review. My name is Steve Faulkner, and hey Josh, hey the Bond villain. How you doing? So we're going to do a comments on comments. I wasn't going to do another one this month. It all got a bit overwhelming last week. I had loads going on. I was like, oh no, I'm going to be all flappy. So I thought I'll leave them, but it's all kind of calmed down a little bit now, and it's all been nice. So yeah, hey Gary, how you doing? I'm good, mate. Thank you very much. So and do talk to each other. It's nice, isn't it? That's the nice thing about this. It's all about connection. So I want to say like and subscribe, because that's what you got to say, isn't it? If you're on YouTube, and I want you to. I genuinely want you to, because look. We've got like 6,500 subscribers. Imagine getting to 10,000. And speaking of which, I've got an Instagram. I never mention it, so I always forget to mention it. I've got an Instagram, Real Magic Review, at Real Magic Review, which is now on 998 followers. Come on. While we're here, we might as well, you know. If you already follow that, I would just create a new fake Instagram account and do another toot. No, I'm only joking. But have a look at that, because I'll use that more. I think I'm going to be using that more after Christmas and putting more stuff on and more stories and things like that on the creation of this stuff, because there's lots of exciting things happening. I'm working away in the background at things, lots of developments, especially on cardmagiccourse.com. That's the big thing. I'm really working on some stuff behind the scenes. So if you haven't checked out cardmagiccourse.com, do. We have guest lecturers every month now. So tonight we have Fanique, him of the Code fame, and that is a really good. I'm so excited. And last month we had Vinny Segou, which is great, and before that Peter Wardell. So every month, and you get all that with your membership. So do check that out, cardmagiccourse.com. It's very, very cool. If you like that, you will love this. If you love this, you'll like, yeah, that one of them. So, hey, you made it to another one, Mex. How are you? Good to see you here. So, if you don't know, which you probably do, I will answer your questions here, and I will also I've got some comments on the other stuff that I've did. I've been a bit, I haven't been that quiet. Oh, and I've put a few reviews out, but not as many as I usually do because of what I've been talking about so far. But if you've got any questions here, ask them. But there is this competition going on with the Refractor guys, Colin and Kev, and they, if you put a question on the comment section, not this one, on the comment section of the Refractor, well, the interview I did with them, you can win a very cool magnetic speed cube, and it's the one that they recommend. So do check that out, and you've got a big chance. It's not like, oh, thanks, Josh. I'm on 1,000. It's not like there's millions of people entering, so you've got a good chance of winning that cube. So have a look at it. Come on. Yay! 1,000 followers. Thanks. I've got to put some stuff in it now. Tell me what you want me to put on it. I always like to listen to the people who are actually going to be consuming my content. Which doesn't sound right, does it? Got a couple of recommendations for you. I listened to a brilliant podcast today, and it was just at the perfect time. I don't know if you know a guy called Pat Hazel. Pat Hazel is a very creative guy. He's a magician. He's done one-man shows, also a writer. He's one of the early writers on Seinfeld. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a situation comedy from the USA. Quite successful, did all right, a couple of seasons and stuff. But he has a podcast called Creativity in Captivity, and if you are the sort of person that makes stuff or just practices stuff, and by make stuff we did practice magic tricks and just find sometimes that you get that lull, that you need that inspiration, it's really helped me. And the one I listened to today, he interviews a guy, and he interviews on it Jerry Seinfeld and people like that as well, the big names, but he also has these people that you may not have heard of. And Austin Kleon wrote this book I've had for a while, Still Like an Artist, which is such a great book on creativity, and he's written one recently called Keep Going, one in 2018, which I've just bought. But if you're one of those people that ever gets a lull in your you ever lose your mojo with magic or your work or creating anything or just practicing, listen to that, Creativity in Captivity. And obviously, I'm not associated with this. but give them a review on iTunes, on Apple Podcasts as well, because it is really good. And I know how hard it is to put this stuff together, and it's just, I promise you will love it. There's just some great stuff, and the fact that, you know, there is, I mean, he interviews Frank Oz in and of itself, he directed in and of itself, so the Derek Delgado production. So, you know, some really, really solid stuff there. I really recommend it. So that's Creativity in Captivity on Apple Podcasts and all over the place. Have a look at that. And what he was talking about today, which, because after my show, I did my one-man show in September, and I just crashed, basically. I couldn't even look at that show. I've only just had to been able to start looking at it now. I couldn't, it was like I went through this big creative kind of rush, and it was really hard to motivate myself, and I kind of thought it was just me. And that episode talks exactly about that thing, is where you just kind of, you go with it. So, and I would say, you know, a lot of people say to me, and also on Facebook, you know, what happens when I've kind of lost my mojo with magic at the moment. And I have talked about this quite a lot, but I think sometimes just go with it. Don't beat yourself up. Do 10 minutes a day, you know, and I think it's powerful stuff. So have a look at that. Right, let's look at the comments. I'm just going to check this thing. If I click on this, does it add to broadcast? What happens if, oh, there it is. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's what I do. All right, because I've just started trying to use this. So, since I've done a live one, I've done more plots and methods, Night Flight deck, the interview with Colin, and I'll do some things there, and my performance of Holy Wood, which I wanted to talk about. Not just my performance of it, because it was I mean, these performances are kind of first ever performances, but you were very lovely about it. Everybody said some nice things about it. But what I like about that is that, actually, I mean, it was, if you'd have seen the performance from beginning to end with no editing, you wouldn't have seen any mistakes, as the people that were watching it did. But you'd see that there were some moments of, you know, some shoddy moments in that, because there always is when you first go out. I don't think you can ever avoid that. I think if the first few times you do anything, it's always a little bit rubbish. But what's really good is if you take a trick out and you're a bit rubbish and it still gets that kind of response, then you kind of know you've got something. And that happened with Holy Wood. And it throws up a lot of questions, doesn't it? Because you've got a few tricks like this. And if you don't know it, go back and watch the Holy Wood performance at some point. But there's lots of tricks like it. You know, a deck of cards turns into a wooden block, but not in the way with an Omni deck in their hands. It kind of, it's a bit like it's based on the pin-free matchbox trick. And Jamie D. Grant had this, what's it called again? Industrial Revelation, which I never actually saw, but everybody said it was great. And more recently, Yo Miranda has had this, the metal phone, the phone that turns into a metal block, which is a weird one, really, because it kind of shouldn't make sense, should it? Because you've got a phone, and then you put if I'm right, I might be wrong, I think you put a silk through the phone, which is the magic trick. It's like, wow, how does that? And then the phone turns into a metal block. And the magic trick is already happened because you put a silk through a phone. So from something solid to turn into something else solid shouldn't really work. But you can't really you can't ignore the reactions, which are always great. Now this does work because you talk about going back in time, which is a Hansen Chen is his trick idea. And I think it's nice because, you know, card, wood, it all kind of makes more sense. So if you go back in time, it turns into pulp. Go further back, it turns into wood. And I think there's something there that I really, really liked. But check it out, and I think it's a good trick, and there's some more coming in, I think. I haven't, this is kind of a review, I suppose, but I haven't reviewed it, but I suppose if you see a performance, and I'm talking about it now, it kind of is. Let's have a look. Fame at last, yes. Kev G. How you doing, Kev? So that's Kev of Refractor, and other magic, of course, and cube cards and things like that. So Kev G, Industrial Revelation was great, but cumbersome to lug around. Mine's also stained now, so Hollywood is tempting me. Yeah, I don't know how they last these things. I've got one of those, the original pin needle through matchbox thing, and what do they call it, matchbox penetration or something. But that's, yeah, you look at that now and it's clear what's going on. It's all kind of faded and stuff, and I don't know how this lasts. He does say in it, he talks about how you can look after the prop though, and I think it'll probably last pretty well if you look after it. But yeah, it's that's something. Carrying around heavy stuff's difficult, isn't it, at a gig? So let's go to some comments. There's not loads, but That's so interesting one. I won't do comments on the performance of Hollywood because it was all just people being lovely, which I don't sort of just sit here and big myself up. I don't think there was any. Yeah, a lot of people talking about the premise. Love the premise. The premise is actually Hansen Chen's. I kind of nixed it with. Oh yeah, Luch was saying it's two Sheffield United Blades players that I was talking to. I did know they were Sheffield United players. I didn't know what their names were, and I think one of them might have been a bit insulted because I got him to do the filming. It's not what you do with someone of football fame, is it? I suppose, but there you go. Right, more plots and methods. This is Michał Kaczałek. Oh, I was going to get that wrong, aren't I? Book. Tom says, because his book, if you haven't seen a review, is lots of kind of very processy tricks that involve a little bit of maths, some of them, and some memory work, and all those tricks a lot of us tend to avoid, but there's a corker at the beginning. They're all good, but there's a really, really good one, which is kind of do as I do. And Tom says, do as I do, I avoid like the plague. Yeah, I always have done. I don't know why. I think it's just that thing of having two decks and kind of, but this uses two half decks. And it is, once you know how to do it, it's a real faller and a magician faller. It's a corker. So that's great. I need your advice. I can't understand that one. Cipher, HPad, oh right, okay. Cipher, Informant or Informer or any similar device. I don't know. I haven't used a lot of those different devices, but that's a bit, I can't help you because I haven't used most of them, but maybe someone can answer that. Don't recall. Mexi says, don't recall if you use mnemonica or not. I often find it easy to remember position numbers because I was talking about memory work and remembering, like one of those tricks you had to remember like 3 different cards in real time. And it's interesting you said this. So if you know mnemonica, he remembers position numbers rather than the actual card. I've been doing that, and I'm glad I've been doing it for ages, and it is weirdly so much easier, isn't it? So if you've got a 2 of spades, and you've got to remember the 2 of spades, it's easier to go right 10. So the 10, then remember 2 of spades. And I'm glad you said it, because it is a good tip. If you know a mem deck, and you do any routines where in real time you've got to spot 3 cards and remember them, it's way easier to remember their position in the mem deck. So that's a good point. Night Flight deck. There was a couple of questions on the Night Flight deck on one of the forums, on a Magician's forum, which I very much like. Out of all of them, they're all good, aren't they? But there's, I like Magician's forum. It seems a little bit more friendly and respectful than some others. But someone on there said, which is a good point. They said, you know, if you've got a marked deck and you like it. And he mentioned that there's one for like 1/3 of the price on Penguin, so why not just get that one? And it wasn't said in a sniffy way. I think it was a decent question. There's a couple of things. It's just preference, and I think, you know, you're paying 15 quid for a deck of cards. The Night Flight decks, like I said, one of the things is that you can just see those marks super easy. And the Bond villain here says, I always wanted to get the DMC marked decks. It's kind of the same kind of thing, really. You can see them from a mile away. They're really nicely designed. They're a different style, so depending on what sort of style you like, it will depend. But I also think that I'm happy to pay a bit more for something if I know it's been independently created. And I'm not saying you should avoid all the big companies. I think that everything has its worth and is very valid. But, you know, when someone creates, like Steve Deller's put the work in himself, created it, sourced the cards, found the stock, he's done all that. And I think when someone does that, it's going to cost more money because they're doing it on their own. They haven't got they can't get as many decks printed up, so it costs a lot more to do. So I think when you're thinking about cutting costs, I think it's a valid fit. And I do it. I buy on Amazon instead of independent sometimes if I'm a bit skint, and we all do it. I'm not judging, but sometimes that's why things may be a bit more expensive if they're independently created. The same with Phil and DMC's deck, the marked decks. So just have that in mind sometimes when you go, why are they so expensive? Sometimes has got something to do with it. Bathtub NZ 322, is that a magician equivalent of a guitar face? Excellent Sly Stallone smirk. Yeah, I did do a bit of a smirky face in one of my little flourishes that I did in that, and I think that's probably subconsciously just because if I don't look stupid doing a flourish, I'll try and look serious and cool, and that is never going to happen. So I might as well go the other way. So that was, I don't think there was any, I got the original Gary, I got the original Night Flights because I like the fact they were good quality plastic and would last. I'm happy to say they're still near perfect. Mine are too, by the way. And I have no issue with their feel. I really don't need any more Mark decks just yet. Steve shouldn't have made them so well. Yeah, and that's the point. If you've got the original Night Flights, they are plastic coated, which are good for most things. You're going to want these ones, the standard edition, if you're doing more cardy card stuff. I think they'd work for both, but a lot of people, I mean, there's certain things I want a normal deck for, normal cards, I don't want the plastic ones. But saying that, I took them out and farrowed them, those plastic ones, so they're great, but a lot of you aren't going to want them. You're going to want the new ones, depending, again, what you do. He made the original Night Flights for mentalists and the fact that you don't need that kind of feel, and you can put them down on the table and they can get wet, you know, if you're doing close-up gigs, which happens so often. So there's loads here because I'll repeat what I said at the beginning. Colin, Klaus and Kev G, who might be still with us, did this interview with me, and do check it out. I might be podcasting these soon because they're quite long and I'm not going to edit them down. I think I like long conversations. I think that's where you get to the good stuff. And part of the thing is if you put a question on the comments below my video, our video, the interview, not this one, and ask a question, you'll be entered into a competition to win a really decent cube, which I'm going to buy one actually of them. And like I said, there's not going to be 300 people there, so you've got a really good chance of winning. So get your questions in below that, and watch it, of course. Watch it, it'd be great. I said it 3 times then, didn't I? So I love the material. I'm not going to go through all of these because a lot of them are the questions, not for me, but for Kevin Colin. Just a lot of love for Refractor. It is really, really brilliant. Got excited about Cube Magic again. Decepticon even forms part of my virtual show. Brilliant. And there's a great demonstration of these tricks. They both do a demo of this gimmickless cube stuff, which is just great. Thanks for your kind words, Dan. Like the channel, Refractor is igniting my passion for magic. There's so much solid material. I've had it for 3 or 4 months and still haven't worked through everything. Brilliant. And it's nice that Kevin and Colin are coming in to answer these. Great interview. I saw Colin perform some of these effects at a family wedding. This is good, isn't it? And there's footage on the Facebook page of both of them performing this. They actually, I know they do go out and perform it, which is so nice, isn't it? And when you're learning stuff that people have put together and they perform it in their show, because we've all had it where, someone puts out 3 or 4 effects and says they perform it. When you ever see them perform close up, they're just doing the bottle through table and ring flight. Nothing wrong with that, but it is nice to see them that they perform their own stuff. So I don't even perform for other people yet, but I'm really enjoying learning a new skill and amazing myself. Do you know what? Most of my stuff now is about learning a new skill. I just love learning magic. And I've been learning some stuff from the Code, the Fenwick book, who's on in an hour and 40 minutes on card magic course he's on. So I'm very much looking forward to that. But I'm doing that. I will perform some of it, but I just love the learning of it. It's great, isn't it? Great interview. Lovely. Thank you. Dan had a question. This isn't for me. Why do you like cube magic so much, and what do you think cube magic brings to spectator other than other magic that people do? I mean, they've got answers to that, and they've answered it there. But it's a good question, isn't it? For me, what was Kev said? I think it's because already an intriguing and impossible object. Yeah, I won't read. Go and read all the replies. I won't read them all out. But why does cube magic capture people? It's something that everybody recognises, and it don't matter what. I know it was a big thing when I was a kid, but it doesn't matter what age you are. Like my kids know what a Rubik's cube is. It's something that's known to be difficult, even just to do it. So the fact you're doing magic with something that's difficult to do anyway, and we all know that yes, it is difficult to learn, but it's not really, is it? It just takes time, which I suppose you could say about pretty much anything. But if I can learn it, any idiot can learn it. But it is something that is known to be difficult. There's so much stuff you can say about it that's fascinating. I know we've all heard it before, but the 48 whatever it is, quintillion mixes, all that, the permutations. I know it's a cliche to us, but it is genuinely fascinating, and I think it looks cool. It looks really cool when people just do it, let alone when you do an instant solve or a mix so it's. I think it's when you get one of them things out and people sort of light up at a gig. It's great, which is what I do quite a lot of it in my show. I'm not going to do all the questions. Favorite cube effect. What got you started? Again, that wasn't for me. where do babies come from? That's great. That's great. Blitz says, where do babies come from? Kev says, mostly alcohol and poor choices. Brilliant answer. Great. So there you go. Right, what comments have you got then? Oh, God, I've lost everything now. It's all, there you go, I'm back. So, why have I got a little weird preview there? That's odd, isn't it? But do you have any residencies? No, I did a residency. I used to have a local, actually talking about Sheffield United, the local hotel that's next to Sheffield United, the Copthorne. It was great. I had a residency in there. I didn't get paid very much, but you don't in residencies. And I picked up a lot of gigs, but just it was great for practicing routines. But it's a really lovely one because there was hardly anybody in there. So you were busy enough to do stuff, but it didn't feel like you were trying to get around 20 or 30 tables, which I'm kind of over now, really. But yeah, I get a residency, you know, do it for nothing. And I'm not saying, well, maybe not, but well, if you're a beginner and you've not performed, do it for nothing. And then, but I think that it's just the best thing you can do. I know everybody says it. But it is, how should I start off with? Cube magic, refractor would be a good one. Learn the cube. I started off with, you've got to get your foundations. So Takamizu Sui is the cube video, will give you full solves. But if you're learning, there's loads of stuff online, but I learned off of Mark Elsden's Rubik's Remembered and then kind of refreshed it with Stephen Brundage Cube Free, and then learnt a load of stuff, Henry Harris stuff that he had that came with Venom Cube and different full solves and things like that. But get used to solving it. Learn the basic solve, I would, and then sort of add to that. Love performance of Hollywood. I think it's a really nice item. Thanks, Kev. Oh, was it? That's interesting. Hollywood was performed by Shin Lim on the Ellen Show last week. There you go. You can go and watch that if you want to see someone do it properly. So I'm just reading. I know it's not riveting, me just reading. I should put on some background music. When can we do Rubik's Cube magic in a performance? Well, I do it in my show all the time. And you can do it, that's what Refractor's about, isn't it? You can just take one cube out and do it. There's loads of great stuff. Hey, Colin, how you doing? There you go. I saw Garrett Thomas use, oh, why have I got all that stuff popped on? Let me move that up there across my face. There you go. Matchstick through solid block as a puzzle and then lead it nicely into cube magic. Oh, did you now? That's good, isn't it? I want to get rid of this box. Hang on, I'm going to mess around with stuff which might mess around with. There you go. See, I've got to start watching more stuff. I'm doing this all the time. And hey, Mr. C, how you doing, Chris? I've been doing this, you know, learning stuff for review, and I forget actually to keep up with things. So I've actually been reading Genie and magazines just to sort of not stay in the loop, as they say. Worried about the spectator examining the gimmick. No, it's not a problem, Josh. It's not a problem. They can examine it. That's the beauty of it. It scares you when they do, because they look at it and you kind of go, whoa. But no, because it's wood, it's just so organic that they just hold it and they go, but they don't question it really. I've did it a few times and they take it out, and you want a bit of audience management. You want to choose someone that ain't going to be leathered and start chucking stuff around. But yeah. You could perform it for any of these. In fact, you could do just a cube set with an opener, middle, and a closer. Yeah, which is just Kev answering the question about performing cubes in a gig. So he's just answering. The Bond villain's answering the person who asked about impression devices before, which is lovely. I'll put that up so you can read that. Lots of love from Kev for the Night Flight deck. I love DMCs as well as Butterfly deck. I use them both, but when doing sign card routines, I'll put out, yeah, absolutely. Not going to have somebody sign a $15 deck. Absolutely. And I started doing a lot in gigs. It's a shame because when I do, not a shame, it's an interesting one because when I get people to sign a card, there's a lot of gags with that. But I've been quite enjoying not knackering the cards up. Not because I'm worried about going through cards. I'm happy to burn a deck for a gig. But it just feels nice because it's always a full deck. So I've been getting people to name a card and using a spread call instead of getting cards signed. Sometimes I get a card signed, and I do on stage because it's a nice thing. But But name cards and doing there's something nice about not knackering your cards. It is more than, I think it's halfway through a gig, I've got like 10 cards missing, and I'm thinking, well, I'm still using that deck because they've been signed, and they just start feeling icky. And I like the fact that there are other ways of doing things other than just signing cards. And it is a bit of dead time sometimes, isn't it? I think sometimes it's good to get it signed, but often I do a signed coin. That, if you're doing the coin, I do coin into, which I've talked about before, nest of wallets, and that has to be signed because they're just going to think it's another coin. But if it's a named card, you can keep reiterating that. So I'm going off on one. You need to wait over an hour for a group. Early chat, maybe. Maybe. I'm going to... no, I can't, because we've got to get on early with Fanique and just check everything's working and stuff. So, sorry about that. Out of topic, that's all right. Ask me what you want. Oh, but do you get Cognito app? Highly recommended. I'm not into App Magic, and I liked it. I can't say that word because I'll get demonetized. But I'm interested in it. It's had some mixed stuff, hasn't it? Some people think it's like best thing ever. Some people have been a little bit critical about it. So I will get it. I'll get it and have a look at it. And no, I think App Magic now is becoming something else. It's becoming not App Magic. It's becoming Magic that even might use your phone but doesn't feel like an app. So, when App Magic first started, it was all that rising card thing and stuff like that, wasn't it? Which was still quite nice. But that was, people could clearly say it's an app. But now, we've banged on about this for ages, haven't I, about wiki testing and things like that. It may use a phone, but it does it in a way that people would never think. So I can watch you set up. No, you're not. I'll be under pressure. It's like someone watching me make a cup of tea. I don't like it. What's the best way to keep the ink on the coin? I just think it's always fine with a Sharpie. I use that, so I do a coin routine with a $50 with muscle passes and stuff, and then just say, like as an afterthought, say, oh, can I borrow one? But I want you to put your initials on it. And it tends to stay there. I'm not doing much with it. I'm not kind of moving it around that much. But yeah, I would, I don't worry about it. It doesn't matter if it comes off a little bit, but when so great, that nest of wallets, when you undo the last bit and they know what's coming, but they kind of can't believe it. And they always say stuff like, oh, if that's in there, I'm going to lose it, which is lovely because, they're just about to lose it. Have you reviewed Ringing the Bell? No, I haven't. I haven't had lots to review recently. I've just got some stuff from Murphy's to review and the 1914 and some books, which take me about 6 years. I don't know why. That's not very entertaining, is it? Just me looking at the floor and stuff. I think I was just going to show it to you, but I'm not, because it'll ruin it, won't it? But yeah, I've got some interesting things from Century Magic, the Mystic series. Interesting, isn't it? So, no, Steve, it's not interesting hearing you mumble about stuff. So there you go. Not a fan of Cognito. Oh, yeah, interesting. But I'm not a fan of App Magic anyway. It's not new and revolutionary, though. It's something we've probably all done. Oh, I'm really intrigued now. Just moved it from a Christmas cracker, really, to a phone. That's interesting, isn't it? I'll have to have a look now, but I'm going to have to buy it because I haven't been given a review copy. But I'll have to, yeah, interesting, Maxie. I'll have a look at that. So, I think that's it. I think we're done. Thanks. Kevin Collin, thanks for coming. Do check out both Refractor and our interview. It'd be lovely. Do share this channel verbally with your friends. And if you like any of it, do feel free to share it on social media. It's hard work in a really good way to do this stuff. It's not a complaint. I love it, but it's it always plateaus. It kind of goes really well, and then it really plateaus. So it's really, really helpful when people share it and mention it and talk about it on the forums, because obviously I've only got so much time. But if you've got any questions or anything, do pop them in the comments after this, and of course do that competition. Go over to the interview and do that. No worries, Colin. Thank you very much, and I'll sign off. Check out cardmagiccourse.com. In half an hour, we should have Fanique on there. Yay! And we've got people coming up like quinoa hard bottles coming up in the new year. So it's not just cards. That's the important thing. It's a bit of everything. So you bargain. Go and sign up for that. Right. I can't press my button because for some reason I messed it up and my little Real Magic review intro and outro didn't work. But I just want to say goodbye. Have a great one. Thank you so much for coming and making it like I'm not just sitting here on my own. and take care of yourselves. See you later. Bye.